just curious about the plane, and I just dismissed it. I didn't know what I was even looking at, just thought this is just some weird thing. And then back in August these videos re-emerged on the social media site Reddit. I shown the subreddit called UFOs, and I saw that video and I just went, huh, okay, that's interesting. And I saw the second video, which was the satellite video, and then I went, wait a minute, I remember seeing that drone video. Now you're telling me there's a second video in perfect synchronization. So I started digging into them, and so did many people on social media, and found that yes, these actually date back to 2014. I mean, I remember seeing them in 2014 as well, but we've got the Wayback Machine. We know that the original account uploader was somebody called Regicide Anon, which technically stands for King Killer, Anonymous King Killer. And that the satellite video, which is the first one, says received March 12, 2014 in the description, which is 4 days after the plane was missed. 4 days after. And it was uploaded. Published May 19, 2014, which is roughly 8 or 9 weeks after the plane disappeared. So we have a time frame of between 4 days and 72 days. Now, the interesting part is, remember those coordinates I just mentioned? Those coordinates are indicated by those Inversat pins as being potentially the real location of where the plane actually was in the Nicobar Islands. Now, the problem here is that the raw telemetry data was not made publicly available until May 28, 2014 in a 47-page report. Before that there was just a graph. Even Mike Exner of the independent group didn't know that the satellite information could even be real until June of 2014. So how did a supposed hoaxer know exactly where to put the plane with the real locations of the plane and the coordinates over a week before the raw telemetry data was even made publicly available? And that's on the screen, and they can see that on the screen. Yes, in the bottom left of the satellite video, you can see it in the high-definition version. So we also even went ahead and we've looked at all the satellites. We actually found there's a low Earth orbit satellite pair, USA 229, a naval ocean surveillance satellite pair that was in the right location in the Straits of Malacca that could have been staring right down at this location around 1840 UTC. This could have been in the constellation of the SIBRS system. In fact, the Regicide version is a stereoscopic version. Is 2 different videos side or 2? Yeah, 2 different videos side by side, slightly different angles. Now, the bunkers have argued that YouTube had a capability to turn videos into 3D like that, which maybe they did. But if this is actually the original version and how this was leaked out to the public, then those 2 satellites right next to each other, staring down, would have been the ones that are sending the data to the SIBRS system to be able to build this capability that we see to track the plane in general. On the second video, the MQ-1C Grey Eagle video, it says received June 5, 2014, and the description, uploaded June 12, 2014. So right away you can start to realize that, okay, this first video came out and then a couple weeks later the next video gets published. So now you're starting to build this narrative of, okay, wait a minute, how did these videos come out? Who potentially could have leaked them? What were they trying to accomplish in leaking them? And if you think that these videos are fake, then the prime suspect should be Regicide Anon themselves. Because if Regicide Anon was not the faker of these videos, why would they put this received March 12, 2014 in the description of the satellite video? Because 4 days is not enough to come up with a whole plan. 4 days after this plane went missing, we were still looking at the South China Sea. So there's no way that the 4 days after is pretty much, a nail in the coffin. These would have to be real. And the problem is that if somebody did fake these, in my mind, it could only be some type of state-sponsored event. It requires far too much intricate detail, stuff that was not publicly available like the heat signatures and the orbs, and the monopole stuff was not even publicly available to an Alta University paper after this plane went missing. Far too many details in this for us to be just some kind of rogue person that created them. The orbs have a heat signature in them, and you can see there's very clear heat signature in the orbs, which is a very unusual detail to add. Engineer who works in low-energy nuclear reactions, Bob Greenier, has looked at this and said that this is consistent with the topological monopole. A little bit of a delay, consistent with somebody from very far away using that camera to follow the plane and try to track it. They zoom in. There's shake in the drone video, which is as they zoom in, increases accurately. Just like if you're using your camera to zoom in on something. There's a 3D dynamic parallax. So when they zoom in, you can actually see the clouds. You can see the edges of the clouds more, so you can actually see that this is a full 3D rendered environment. If it was fake, it can't be just a picture. A little bit of a delay, consistent with somebody from very far away using that camera to follow the plane and try to track it. They zoom in. There's shake in the drone video, which is as they zoom in, increases accurately. Just like if you're using your camera to zoom in on something. There's a 3D dynamic parallax. So when they zoom in, you can actually see the clouds. You can see the edges of the clouds more, so you can actually see that this is a full 3D rendered environment. If it was fake, it can't be just a picture. Pouring through the air conditioning system in the airplane, and then we've been getting pumped out through those AC exhaust ports. And in this situation as well, we've got, the fire event that we speculated, we've got that mayday call, we've got the video showing hot smoke coming out of the back of this plane as well. And then we've got our witness on the ground, Catherine T., who saw dark smoke. So to me, I think that this is a huge amount of evidence that if these videos aren't real, why do they tell a story of the plane that's matched by more evidence than anybody else's story today, any expert or what have you? The only thing that we've had to rule out for these videos to be real and this event to be the true event of the plane is these satellite pings after the location in the Nicobar Islands. And if you look at those Inmarsat satellite pings, I've looked at the raw data myself. It amounts to 10 rows on an Excel spreadsheet. And the weirdest part is that if you look at everything up until the Nicobar Islands from when the plane took off, it's hundreds of rows of data, and you get to that part and it's just 10 rows of data for 5 hours. What does that mean? So that just lack of. At 1707, they shouldn't begin at 1840 UTC. We looked into the SATCOMs. All the SATCOM systems that exist out there all have zero-day vulnerabilities and exploits. They're all easily hackable. In fact, you probably only have to change one value in these systems in order to get people to believe that a plane went in a different direction than it actually did, for example, to convince people that it went east instead of going to the west. But the strongest evidence why those pings are not true is that we found nothing in the location where those pings supposedly say that the plane went into the South Indian Ocean. We didn't find one piece of debris down there. We found no black boxes. We had no acoustic detections, no radar detections, no witnesses, despite the fact that it's on an active shipping route. And we had 19 family members of the victims claim that they could call the cell phones of the victims for up to 4 days after they went missing. One of them even proved it on television. This is phones or not. You cannot connect to a phone that is turned off, that's in the middle of the ocean, away from cell towers, that is underwater, that is dead. And CNN had these experts come on and say that, oh no, that this can happen, which I would believe if it was just 1 or 2. When you have 19 families saying that, something does not add up. Who was recording this on a screen recording? They knew they were going to get caught. They have logs for Citrix sessions logging into databases like this, and they leaked this to the world, potentially because they knew the United States would never find it. And I was sitting there one day in October and I could believe if it was just 1 or 2. But when you've got 19 families saying that and they're saying it goes up to 4 days, they could do that, which is pretty consistent with how long maybe a phone would last if you know the battery on it. That's where I become pretty skeptical in general. So yeah, wow. What do you think about the disappearance of Malaysia Airlines Flight 370? Please take a moment to like and subscribe to our channel. By doing so, you'll never miss out on our latest content, and you'll be helping us to create even more amazing videos for you in the future. Thank you for your support.